War Commander Thexnall stared at the tactical display in disbelief. In 3 days of fighting, he had lost 40% of his fleet, without ever seeing the enemy clearly. His ships were being attacked by forces that appeared from nowhere, struck with impossible weapons, and vanished before his commanders could respond. "Report," Thexnall demanded from his fleet commanders. Commander Vextal of the 3rd Fleet spoke first, his crystalline structure dim with exhaustion. "War Commander, the enemy uses tactics we cannot predict. They appear behind our formations, attack our weakest ships, and disappear before we can target them. Our weapons cannot lock onto their vessels," added Commander Yilmoth of the 7th Fleet. "Their ships move through space in ways our computers insist are impossible." Thexnall had been fighting wars for 2 centuries. He understood tactics, strategy, and the capabilities of every known technology in the galaxy. What he couldn't understand was how the humans had become so powerful so quickly. "What about their numbers?" Thexnall asked. "Unknown," Vextal replied. "We've identified at least 100 different ship signatures, but our sensors suggest the same vessels are attacking in multiple locations simultaneously." Thexnall's chief of staff, Krelton, looked up from his analysis station. "War Commander, I believe the humans are using some kind of instantaneous transportation technology. The same ships are appearing in battles thousands of light years apart within hours of each other. That's impossible. So are most of the things we've observed in the last 3 days," Krelton replied. Light years away, Captain Han Wu was having the time of his life. The Korthai beacon network allowed human ships to move through space in ways that made conventional military tactics useless. Li Jun had become the most valuable navigator in human space, capable of plotting routes that put entire fleets exactly where they were needed most. "Jun, can you get us behind their command formation?" Han Wu asked as Soul's Pride prepared for another strike. "Already plotted, Captain," Li Jun replied, his fingers dancing over controls that combined human intuition with Korthai technology. "We'll emerge 3,000 kilometers behind their flagship in 15 seconds. Kim Sol had outdone herself upgrading their weapons. Soul's Pride now carried enough firepower to destroy ships 10 times its size, all disguised as enhanced defensive systems that the enemy couldn't detect until it was too late. "Weapons ready, Captain," Kim Sol reported. "Their shields won't even slow us down." The attack lasted 30 seconds. Soul's Pride appeared behind the Council formation, destroyed 3 heavy cruisers and damaged the flagship before disappearing back into the beacon network. By the time the Council ships turned to respond, they were firing at empty space. "This is almost unfair," Dr. Park observed as she monitored enemy communications. "They're completely confused. Their commanders are arguing about whether we're using magic or just advanced technology they don't understand." "Let them argue," Han Wu replied. "Confusion is our best weapon." The human strategy was working better than anyone had hoped. Instead of fighting a conventional war, they were using their alliance with the Korthai to create chaos throughout Council space. Human ships would appear anywhere, strike hard, and vanish before the enemy could respond. Commander Shinbo was coordinating the larger strategy from his flagship, the diplomatic vessel that was officially named Soul's Honor, but was unofficially the most heavily armed ship in human space. "Status report," Shinbo called to his fleet commanders. "2nd Squadron hit their supply depot at Rigel," reported Captain Yu Da from Busan Runner. "Destroyed their fuel reserves and captured their communication codes. 5th Squadron took out their sensor network in the Vega system," added Captain Nam Ho from the converted cargo ship Inchin's Pride. "They're now blind in an area covering 50-star systems." "Excellent," Shinbo replied. "What about the Korthai forces?" Elder Velteran's image appeared on the communication screen. "Our ships have been targeting their command structure. We've eliminated 7 fleet commanders and captured 2 council members who were observing the battle from what they thought was a safe distance." Shinbo smiled. "Perfect. The more chaos we create in their command structure, the less coordinated their response becomes." The captured council members provided unexpected intelligence. Under questioning by Dr. Park, who spoke their languages fluently, they revealed information that changed everything. "Captain Wu." Dr. Park's excited voice came over the communication system. "You need to hear this." Han Wu found Dr. Park in the ship's conference room with 2 holographic projections showing the captured council members. Both aliens looked terrified. which was understandable since they had just learned that the supposedly extinct Korthai were very much alive and very angry. "What did you learn?" Hanwoo asked. "The Council's entire authority structure is based on a lie," Dr. Park replied. "These prisoners revealed that the Council has been operating without legal authority for over a century." She activated a holographic display showing legal documents. The original charter that created the Council included sunset clauses, automatic expiration dates. The Council's legal authority ended 90 years ago, but they never told anyone. Hanwoo studied the documents. So, they've been making illegal laws to enforce illegal authority over species they have no right to control. Exactly. And there's more. The Council has been suppressing evidence of other advanced species, stealing technology from extinct civilizations, and manipulating conflicts between species to maintain their power. Elder Veltarin had been listening to the conversation. This information could destabilize their entire power structure. If other species learn the truth, the Council will lose all legitimacy. Then we make sure they learn, Hanwoo decided. Dr. Park had been preparing for this moment. Her years of studying alien languages and cultures had taught her exactly how to communicate with different species, in ways they would understand and trust. "I've prepared broadcasts in 47 languages," Dr. Park reported. "Complete legal documentation, evidence of Council crimes, and proof that they've been operating without authority for decades." "Can we reach all the species in Council space?" Hanwoo asked. "The Korthai beacon network can broadcast to every inhabited system in the galaxy simultaneously," Veltarin replied. "When we activate it, every species will receive the truth about Council rule at the same time." The broadcast went out while Thexanol was still trying to understand how he was losing a war against an enemy he couldn't see. Across the galaxy, species that had followed Council law for centuries suddenly learned that those laws had no legal foundation. The results were immediate and dramatic. On 12 different worlds, local governments declared independence from Council authority. 3 species that had been restricted to single-star systems began immediate expansion into territories they had been denied for decades. 5 major trade routes that had been controlled by Council regulations opened to free commerce. Most importantly, other species began sharing their own evidence of Council corruption and abuse. The carefully controlled information network that had maintained Council power for centuries collapsed in a matter of hours. Thexanol watched his authority crumble along with his fleet. Species that had been Council allies for generations suddenly refused to take his orders. His own officers began questioning whether they were fighting a legal war or committing war crimes. "War Commander," Krelton approached him hesitantly. "We're receiving reports of widespread rebellion throughout Council space. Multiple species are declaring independence and demanding immediate withdrawal of all Council forces. Can we maintain control?" Thexanol asked. "Not without using military force against civilian populations. That would make us criminals under galactic law." Thexanol realized his position was hopeless. The humans had done more than win a military victory. They had destroyed the foundation of Council power by revealing the truth. Meanwhile, Analyst Cho Min was coordinating intelligence from across human space at Earth Command. The reports were overwhelmingly positive. "Admiral Kim," Cho Min briefed her superior, "Council resistance is collapsing everywhere. Thexanol's remaining fleets are retreating to Council core worlds, but they're facing rebellions even there." "What about casualties?" Admiral Kim asked. "Minimal on our side. The combination of Korthai technology and human tactics proved extremely effective. We've lost fewer than 20 ships while destroying over 300 Council vessels." Admiral Kim was amazed. "How did we achieve such success?" "The Korthai provided superior technology, but our success came from human thinking," Cho Min explained. "We ignored conventional tactics, used unpredictable strategies, and refused to fight the war the Council expected." Captain Hanwoo received the final communication from War Commander. Thexanol as Sol's Pride patrolled the space around Earth. The defeated Council commander appeared on screen, his crystalline structure cracked and dim. "Captain Wu," Thexanol said formally, "I am authorized to negotiate the surrender of Council forces." "I'm not sure you understand the situation," Hanwoo replied calmly. "We're not interested in your surrender. We never recognized your authority in the first place. Then what do you want?" "We want you to leave human space and stop interfering with human activities." War Commander Thexnol stood in the center of the Council's war room, his crystalline body reflecting the light from dozens of tactical displays. Around him, representatives of 11 species argued about the human problem with increasing urgency. "The humans have ignored every directive," Thexnol announced, his voice cutting through the chatter. "Their settlements continue to grow. Their ships move freely through restricted space. They show no respect for our authority." The insect-like Kethra clicked their mandibles in agreement. "Our enforcement teams report impossible technologies. Human ships outperform military specifications by significant margins. They have also been sharing classified information," added Felmoth of the Nullmoth, their gaseous form rippling with agitation. "Species throughout the galaxy are questioning Council authority based on human propaganda." Thexnol had heard enough. "The humans represent a clear threat to galactic stability. I propose we invoke Article 12 of the Emergency Powers Act." The chamber fell silent. Article 12 authorized the use of military force against species deemed threats to galactic civilization. It had never been used against an entire species before. "That seems extreme," cautioned Elder Yithkar of the Morthai. "Perhaps negotiation?" Thexnol's voice cracked with anger. "We issued clear directives. The humans ignored them. We sent enforcement teams. The humans humiliated them. How long do we wait before they decide our authority means nothing?" The vote was close, but Article 12 passed. Thexnol now had authorization to use the full military power of the Galactic Council against human space. He began planning immediately. "Deploy the 1st, 3rd, and 7th fleets," Thexnol ordered his military staff. "I want a complete blockade of human space within 60 days. Any human ships attempting to leave their assigned territory are to be captured or destroyed." His chief of staff, a younger Vextai named Krelton, studied the deployment orders with concern. "War Commander, our intelligence suggests the humans have formed some kind of alliance with unknown forces. Should we investigate before committing our fleets?" "Unknown forces?" Thexnol dismissed the concern. "Probably mercenaries or pirates. Desperation makes species do foolish things. Our fleets can handle whatever the humans have found." Thexnol was wrong. What the humans had found was about to change everything. Aboard Soul's Pride, Captain Han Wu was learning just how much he didn't know about galactic history. Elder Veltaran had provided access to Korthai archives, and the truth was disturbing. The Council didn't evolve naturally, Dr. Park explained to Han Wu as she reviewed the historical records. It was created by the Korthai 3 centuries ago as a way to maintain peace between warring species. What went wrong? Han Wu asked. Power corrupted it. The Council was supposed to mediate disputes and coordinate exploration. Instead, they started controlling who could go where, when they could expand, and how much they could grow. They became the very thing they were created to prevent, a force that suppressed other species. Veltaran's image appeared on their communication screen. The Council has voted to use military force against your people. Our observers report massive fleet movements toward human space. Han Wu wasn't surprised. How long do we have? Perhaps 50 days before they reach your outer colonies. But that gives us time to prepare. What kind of preparation are we talking about? Veltaran smiled. The kind your species excels at. Improvisation under pressure. The preparation involved sharing technology that made the Council's military advances look primitive. Korthai engineers worked alongside humans like Kimsol to upgrade human ships with capabilities that violated the known laws of physics. These power cores don't make sense, Kimsol complained as she studied Korthai energy systems. The output is impossible according to everything I know about engineering. Your physics are limited by Council science, the Korthai engineer Talon explained patiently. We developed these systems after centuries of unrestricted research. When you stop accepting limits, you discover the universe has fewer limits than you thought. Kimsol grinned. I like the way you think. The technological exchange worked both ways. The Korthai were fascinated by human innovations, particularly their tendency to solve problems by ignoring the accepted way of doing things. Your engineer modified our shield generators to work as offensive weapons, Talon reported to Veltaran with something like awe. She connected them to your ship's navigation system and created a defensive field that can cut through solid matter. Is that useful? Veltaran asked. It means your ships can now ram through enemy vessels while taking no damage. Our computers insist this is impossible. Humans specialize in impossible things, Veltaran observed. Lee Jun was having similar success with Korthai navigation technology. Their star charts revealed routes through space that connected distant systems in ways that defied normal understanding of galactic geography. How does this work? Lee Jun asked Morveth, his Korthai counterpart, as they studied charts that showed impossible connections between star systems. Space is more flexible than most species understand, Morveth explained. Gravity, time, and distance can be manipulated if you know how. These routes use natural phenomena that your scientists haven't discovered yet. Can we teach this to other human navigators? That depends. Can they think like you do? Lee Jun considered the question. Most human navigators followed standard procedures and trusted their computers, but some, like himself, preferred to trust their instincts and look for patterns others missed. Some of them can, Lee Jun decided. The ones who are willing to ignore the rules. Meanwhile, Commander Shinbo was coordinating the defense of human space with resources that officially didn't exist. His diplomatic protection service had grown into a fleet that rivaled the military forces of major powers. How many ships do we have now? Admiral Kim Tae asked during a secure communication. That depends on how you count, Shinbo replied carefully. Officially, 12 diplomatic escort vessels. Unofficially, we have 47 combat ships, 15 support vessels, and 8 reconnaissance craft. How did we build 60 ships without anyone noticing? We didn't build them. We converted civilian vessels and called them diplomatic transports. Turns out cargo ships make excellent weapon platforms once you remove the cargo space. Admiral Kim studied the deployment charts. Can 60 ships hold off 3 council fleets? Probably not, Shinbo admitted. But we're not fighting alone anymore. The Korthai had been preparing for this confrontation for 3 centuries. Their hidden shipyards had produced vessels that combined advanced technology with 300 years of careful planning. When they emerged from their hidden bases, even Han Wu was impressed. Those aren't ships, Kim Sol said as she watched Korthai vessels move through space with impossible grace. They're works of art that happen to carry weapons. The Korthai fleet was smaller than the Council's forces, but each ship represented technological superiority that made up for numerical disadvantage. More importantly, they brought something the Council had never faced, an enemy that understood their weaknesses. The Council relies on overwhelming force and superior numbers. Velteron explained to the combined human and Korthai command staff. They've never fought an enemy that could match their technology or predict their tactics. What's our strategy? Han Wu asked. We use your greatest strength, Velteron replied. Unpredictability. The battle plan was vintage human thinking applied to galactic warfare. Instead of meeting the Council fleets in direct confrontation, human and Korthai forces would use Lee Jun's impossible routes to appear where the enemy least expected them. We hit their supply lines first, Shinbo explained. Cut off their support vessels and force them to fight with limited resources. Then we use the beacon network to create confusion, Lee Jun added. We can move our ships through space in ways their computers can't track or predict. And if they adapt? Dr. Park asked. Kim Sol grinned. Then we adapt faster. That's what humans do. As the Council fleets moved toward human space, they expected to find a desperate species making a final stand with inferior technology. Instead, they were about to encounter something that would force them to reconsider everything they thought they knew about warfare. Texanol received the first disturbing reports when his advanced scouts entered the outer edge of human space. The expected defensive positions were empty. Human colonies were operating normally. Most confusing of all, there were energy signatures in supposedly empty space that suggested ships using technology the Council couldn't identify. Where are their defensive fleets? Texanol demanded. Unknown, War Commander, his intelligence officer replied. Our scouts report no significant military presence in any of the expected locations. Then where are they? The answer came when the Council's supply convoy disappeared between one star system and the next. 60 ships carrying fuel, ammunition, and spare parts simply vanished without sending a distress signal. How do 60 ships disappear? Texanol asked. Nobody had an answer, but they were about to discover that fighting humans meant learning new definitions of impossible. The war for galactic freedom had begun, and the Council was already losing. Dr. Park Hai spent her nights reading alien legal documents while everyone else slept. She had always found languages fascinating, but lately she was more interested in the spaces between words, the loopholes, contradictions, and hidden meanings that revealed more than the writers intended. Captain, she called Han Wu to her research station one morning. You need to see this. Han Wu found her, surrounded by holographic displays showing text in 12 different alien scripts. Dr. Park's eyes were bright with excitement despite her obvious lack of sleep. What did you find? Han Wu asked. The Council's own charter, Dr. Park said, highlighting sections of text. I've been comparing the original documents each species signed when they joined. They don't match. Han Wu leaned closer to study the displays. What do you mean? The Vextai Charter says they can establish mining operations on any planet with suitable crystal formations. But the Nullmoth Charter says the same thing about gas giant moons. The problem is there are 17 worlds where both conditions exist. According to their own rules, both species have claims to the same territories. She pulled up more documents. It gets worse. The Kethra have been expanding into systems that the Morthai claimed 50 years ago. The Yiltar are mining asteroids in Zephyron space. Every species on the Council is technically violating someone else's territorial rights. Han Wu studied the evidence. How long has this been going on? Decades. Maybe centuries. Dr. Park highlighted more contradictions. The Council has been selectively enforcing their own rules depending on which species they want to favor. They ignore violations when it's convenient and create new restrictions when they want to stop someone. Kim Sol joined them, carrying a cup of coffee and looking curious. What's all this about? Turns out the Council has been breaking their own rules for years, Han Wu explained. That's not the best part, Dr. Park continued. She pulled up a new document. I found something else while cross-referencing territorial claims. Look at this. The display showed a star chart with overlapping territorial boundaries. In the center was a large area marked in a script Han Wu didn't recognize. This is marked as Korthai space, Dr. Park said. But according to Council records, the Korthai went extinct 300 years ago. Extinct species don't need territory, Kim Sol observed. Exactly. So why is their space still marked as occupied? And why are their energy signatures coming from their star systems? Before Han Wu could answer, Li Jun's voice came over the intercom. Captain, you need to come to the bridge. We're getting some very interesting scanner readings. The bridge was buzzing with activity when Han Wu arrived. Li Jun was bent over his navigation console, comparing readings with his hand-drawn charts. What do you have, Jun? Han Wu asked. Remember that route I mapped through the Helix Nebula? The one that shouldn't exist according to standard navigation? Li Jun pointed to his screens. I'm picking up artificial structures along that route. Beacons of some kind. Beacons? Dr. Park had followed them to the bridge. What kind of beacons? Unknown design. But they're definitely artificial, and they're old. Really old. Li Jun enhanced the readings. Captain, these beacons are using technology that's more advanced than anything in Council space. Han Wu felt a chill run down his spine. Are they functional? Very functional. In fact, I think they're how I was able to find that route in the first place. The beacons are creating a navigation corridor through space that normal sensors can't detect. Dr. Park was already running comparisons on her portable scanner. The energy signatures match the readings from Korthai space. These beacons are Korthai technology. But the Korthai are extinct, Kim Sol said. According to the Council, Dr. Park replied. But what if they're not? Han Wu made a decision. Jun, can you follow those beacon signals to their source? I think so. But it means going into officially restricted space. Korthai territory is off-limits to everyone. Since when do we worry about off-limits? Han Wu asked. While Sol's Pride changed course toward Korthai space, analyst Cho Min was making her own discoveries at Earth Command. She was a small woman with sharp eyes who spent her days looking for patterns in intelligence reports. Today she was finding patterns that disturbed her. Admiral, Cho Min knocked on her superior's door. I need to show you something. Admiral Kim Tae looked up from his paperwork. What is it, Cho? I've been analyzing Council communication intercepts. They're planning something big. Cho Min activated a holographic display. Military fleet movements, resource stockpiling, and emergency authorization protocols. They're preparing for war. War with who? Us, sir. The intercepts indicate they consider the human expansion problem a threat to galactic stability. They're planning to use military force to relocate our people. Admiral Kim studied the data. How long do we have? Based on their fleet movements, maybe 2 months before they're ready to act. Admiral Kim was quiet for a moment. What's the status of the Diplomatic Protection Service? Commander Shin Bo's ships are spread throughout human space, providing security for our settlements. But if the Council brings their full military force, we'll be outnumbered 50-1. Then we better hope Captain Wu and the other exploration teams find something useful, Admiral Kim said. They did. Captain Yu Da of the stealth ship Busan Runner had been following her own set of mysterious signals. Her ship was designed for reconnaissance, with sensors that could detect energy signatures across vast distances. Captain Wu. Yuda's transmission reached Seoul's Pride as both ships approached Korthai space. I'm tracking multiple artificial structures in this system. Massive ones. How massive? Han Wu asked. City-sized. Maybe bigger. And they're populated. Dr. Park couldn't contain her excitement. The Korthai aren't extinct. They're hiding. As Seoul's Pride and Busan Runner entered the outer edges of Korthai space, their sensors detected more than just cities. Entire planets showed signs of advanced civilization. Space stations orbited in formations that suggested careful planning. Most importantly, there were ships, sleek vessels that moved with technology far beyond anything the Council possessed. We're being scanned, Kim Sol reported. Multiple sources using detection methods I don't recognize. Should we withdraw? Li Jun asked. No, Han Wu decided. We came here to find the truth. Open communication channels on all frequencies. The response came immediately. A holographic image appeared on their main screen, showing a being unlike anything they had seen before. It was tall and graceful, with silver skin that seemed to glow from within. Its eyes were ancient and intelligent. Human vessels, the being spoke in perfect Korean. You have found us at last. I am Elder Veltaran of the Korthai. We have been waiting for you. Waiting for us? Han Wu asked. Your species is the first in 3 centuries to show the initiative to look beyond the Council's lies. You explore without permission, create solutions without authorization, and refuse to accept limitations imposed by others. These are qualities we value. Dr. Park stepped forward. The Council says your people are extinct. Veltaran made a sound that might have been laughter. The Council says many things. We found it useful to let them believe we were gone while we observed their behavior. What we saw confirmed our worst fears about galactic civilization. What did you see? Han Wu asked. Stagnation. Control. A system designed to prevent growth rather than encourage it. Veltaran's expression grew serious. The Council maintains peace by ensuring no species becomes powerful enough to challenge them. They eliminate threats before they can develop. Kim Sol understood immediately. That's why they want to stop human expansion. We're growing too fast. Precisely. In 200 years, humans have achieved what took other species millennia. You adapt, innovate, and overcome obstacles that would stop others completely. The Council sees this as dangerous. What do you propose we do about it? Han Wu asked. Veltaran smiled, and for the first time in centuries, the Korthai began to hope. We propose an alliance. Your people have the spirit we once possessed. Our people have the knowledge and technology you need. Together, we can reshape galactic civilization. Dr. Park was already thinking about the implications. The Council won't accept this. They'll use military force to stop us. Let them try, Veltaran replied. We have been preparing for this day for 300 years. The question is, are humans ready to stop seeking permission and start making the rules? Han Wu looked at his crew. Kim Sol was grinning with anticipation. Li Jun was already plotting courses through Korthai space. Dr. Park was preparing translation protocols for a galactic alliance. Elder Veltaran, Han Wu said formally, humans have never needed permission to explore the universe. We're not about to start now. The alliance between humans and Korthai began that day, setting in motion events that would reshape the galaxy. The Council had spent centuries building a system to control galactic civilization. They were about to discover that some species couldn't be controlled and didn't want to be. The Galactic Council chambers hummed with the soft vibrations of 12 different alien species breathing, clicking and humming in their native ways. At the center of the massive crystalline dome, War Commander Thexanol of the Vextai stood tall, his body gleaming like cut diamond under the artificial lights. His voice rang out clear and sharp across the assembly. Emergency Decree 847 is now in effect, Thexanol announced. All human expansion activities must stop immediately. The species known as humans have proven too aggressive and too focused on growth to be trusted with further territorial rights. The other council members made their sounds of agreement. The gas-like nullmoth whispered through their breathing tubes while the insect-like Kethra clicked their approval. For 300 years, the Galactic Council had maintained peace by controlling which species could expand where. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid belt was carefully assigned. Every species knew their place and stayed in it, except humans. Thexnall continued reading from the official decree. Humans have established colonies on 47 worlds without proper authorization. They have ignored 17 formal warnings. They have continued expansion despite clear instructions to halt. This behavior threatens galactic stability. Light years away from the council chambers, Captain Han Wu stood on the bridge of his ship, the Soul's Pride. He was a tall man with graying hair and steady hands that had seen 30 years of space travel. His crew gathered around him as the council's transmission played on their main screen. "When did we start asking them for permission?" Han Wu asked, his voice calm but with an edge of humor. "I must have missed that memo." His engineer, Kim Sol, laughed softly. She was a small woman with quick fingers and a mind that could solve any technical problem. "Captain, I checked our records. We never signed anything that said we needed their permission to explore space." "That's what I thought," Han Wu replied. He turned to his navigator, Li Jun, a former military pilot with sharp eyes and an even sharper mind for finding routes through dangerous space. "Jun, what's our current status?" Li Jun checked his charts. "We're in orbit around Kepler 442b. We've been here for 3 months conducting what our official logs call extended geological surveys." Dr. Park Hai, the ship's xenobiologist, looked up from her research station. She was a quiet woman who spoke 7 alien languages and had spent years studying how different species communicated. "The colony below has 3,000 people now. They're calling it New Busan. The farming operations are going well and they've found mineral deposits that could support 10 times that many people." Han Wu nodded. "And according to our paperwork, we're still just doing surveys." "Exactly," Dr. Park said with a small smile. The council's transmission continued playing. Thexnall's crystalline face showed no emotion as he read the list of human violations. Humans have ignored proper channels for territorial requests. They have established permanent settlements without approval. They have armed their civilian vessels beyond acceptable limits. These actions will no longer be tolerated. Kim Sol made a disgusted sound. "Armed beyond acceptable limits? We just gave our ships enough weapons to defend themselves. It's not our fault their acceptable limits wouldn't stop an angry space rat." The transmission showed the council voting. 12 species, 12 votes for the decree. The humans had no representation in the council. They had never asked for any. "All human expansion must cease within 60 standard days," Thexnall concluded. "Any human vessels found establishing new settlements after this date will be treated as hostile forces. Any existing settlements that cannot prove proper authorization will be evacuated. The human species will return to their assigned territory and remain there until the council determines they can be trusted with limited expansion rights." The transmission ended. The bridge of Soul's Pride fell quiet for a moment. Li Jun was the first to speak. "Captain, they're talking about evacuating New Busan. Those people have families there. They've built homes." "I know," Han Wu said. He walked to the main viewing screen which showed the blue and green planet below them. 3,000 humans were down there, building a new life under an alien sun. "What do our regulations say about this situation, Dr. Park?" Dr. Park pulled up the relevant files on her screen. "According to Earth regulations, we're required to protect human settlements and ensure the safety of human civilians. According to the Galactic Council's own charter, they cannot forcibly relocate civilian populations without clear evidence of criminal activity." "And have our people committed any crimes?" Han Wu asked. "They've built farms, established schools, and started mining operations," Dr. Park replied. "If that's criminal, then I don't understand their laws." Kim Sol was already working at her engineering station. "Captain, I'm getting reports from the other ships in our fleet. They all received the same transmission. Nobody's packing up to leave." Han Wu wasn't surprised. Humans had been exploring space for 200 years. They had spread to over 300 worlds, built thriving colonies, and established trade routes that connected distant star systems. They had done all of this without asking the Galactic Council for permission, because they had never needed to ask anyone for permission to explore. "What are our orders, Captain?" Li Jun asked. Han Wu thought for a moment. Below them, New Busan was preparing for its evening cycle. Lights were coming on in the growing city. Children were playing in parks their parents had built with their own hands. Farmers were tending crops that would feed thousands of people. "Our orders are the same as they've always been. Han Wu said finally. We continue our mission to explore space, establish safe places for humans to live, and protect human interests. The Council can make all the decrees they want. We never asked them for permission to be here, and we're not asking now. Dr. Park nodded. I'll file our report with Earth Command. We're conducting extended geological surveys with an indefinite timeline. And I'll make sure our defensive systems are working properly, Kim Sol added, just in case the Council sends someone to check on our survey work. Li Jun was already plotting courses to nearby star systems. Captain, I've found 3 systems within range that haven't been properly surveyed yet. We could conduct legitimate research there while we figure out our next move. Han Wu smiled. His crew understood. They had never been the type of people to ask permission for anything important. They were explorers, pioneers, and builders. The Council could try to stop them, but humans had been breaking rules and pushing boundaries since they first looked up at the stars and decided to visit them. Set course for the nearest system, Han Wu ordered, and send a message to the other ships in our fleet. Tell them we're continuing our surveys. Tell them humans don't need permission to explore the universe. The Soul's Pride turned away from Kepler 442b, leaving New Busan to grow and thrive under its alien sun. Behind them, 3,000 humans continued building their new home, completely ignoring the Galactic Council's decree. After all, nobody had asked the Council if they could make rules for humans in the first place. 3 months had passed since the Galactic Council issued their decree. Commander Zethkul of the Council Enforcement Fleet felt confident as his ship approached the human settlement on Kepler 442b. His orders were simple. Verify that humans had stopped their illegal expansion and escort any remaining colonists back to human territory. Zethkul was a Vextai like Thexnol, but smaller and less experienced. His crystalline body reflected the light from the ship's controls as he studied the readings from the planet below. Everything looked normal. The settlement was still there, but surely the humans had received the evacuation order by now. Begin scanning the surface, Zethkul ordered his crew. I want a full count of human activity. The scan results confused him. Instead of a decreasing population preparing to leave, the settlement had grown. New buildings dotted the landscape. Agricultural areas had expanded. Mining operations were clearly visible from orbit. Are you certain these readings are correct? Zethkul asked his scanner operator. Yes, Commander. The settlement now houses approximately 4,000 humans. Construction activity is ongoing. Zethkul felt his crystal structure vibrate with irritation. Open a communication channel to the surface. A human face appeared on his screen. It was an older woman with gray hair and calm eyes. This is Administrator Song Mi of New Busan Research Station. How can I help you? Research Station. Zethkul's voice cracked slightly. My records show this as an illegal colony. Song Mi smiled politely. Oh no, Commander. You must have old information. This has always been a research station. We're conducting long-term geological and biological studies for the Earth Science Institute. All properly authorized, of course. Zethkul checked his files again. The paperwork was perfect. Too perfect. Your research station has 4,000 people. Yes, we've had to expand our support staff. Long-term research requires proper infrastructure. We have schools for the researchers' children, farms to feed everyone, and mining operations to gather mineral samples. All standard for extended scientific missions. Mining operations to gather samples? Zethkul repeated. Extensive samples, Song Mi replied cheerfully. We need to study the full mineral composition of the planet. It's very thorough work. Zethkul ended the communication and turned to his crew. Something was wrong, but he couldn't prove it. The humans had somehow reclassified their entire colony as a research operation. Technically, they weren't violating the expansion decree. Commander, his communications officer called out. We're receiving similar reports from other enforcement teams. The humans have creative explanations for all their settlements. Zethkul reviewed the incoming reports with growing disbelief. On Tau Ceti F, 3,000 humans were running a diplomatic outpost that happened to have full manufacturing capabilities. On Wolf 359b, 5,000 humans operated an emergency shelter that had been under construction for 10 years and showed no signs of being temporary. Every human settlement had been reclassified. Every operation had proper paperwork. Nothing technically violated the decree, but everything clearly ignored its intent. Meanwhile, Captain Han Wu was having the best 3 months of his career. Kim Sol had been incredibly busy, and the results showed throughout the human fleet. Ships that used to carry light defensive weapons now mounted what she called enhanced protective systems, cargo. Vessels had been upgraded with improved navigation, capabilities that made them faster than most military craft. Kim, what exactly did you do to the engine systems? Han Wu asked as he watched her work. Kim Sol looked up from under a control panel, her face smudged with grease but smiling broadly. I improved their efficiency, Captain. Turns out when you remove all the safety restrictions the manufacturers put on civilian ships, they can do amazing things. And these improved engines just happen to make our ships faster than Council enforcement vessels? Pure coincidence, Kim Sol replied with a straight face. I was just trying to reduce fuel consumption. Li Jun had been equally creative. His charts now showed 17 new routes through asteroid fields and nebulae that the Council had never discovered. Human ships could move through space using paths that official navigation systems insisted didn't exist. How did you find these routes, Jun? Dr. Park asked as she studied his hand-drawn charts. I pay attention to things other people ignore, Li Jun replied. Gravitational anomalies, electromagnetic disturbances, stellar drift patterns. The universe is full of paths if you know how to look for them. Dr. Park had made her own contributions. Her deep knowledge of alien languages had revealed interesting contradictions in Council regulations. Did you know, she told Han Wu one day, that the Council's own charter contains 17 different definitions of what constitutes a colony? Depending on which definition you use, none of our settlements qualify. That's very convenient, Han Wu said. I thought so too. I've been sharing this information with other human captains. They're finding it quite useful for their paperwork. The Council's enforcement efforts were becoming an embarrassment. Every time they found a human settlement, the humans had a perfectly legal explanation for its existence. When enforcement ships tried to approach human vessels, those ships somehow became faster and more maneuverable than military specifications should allow. Commander Shinbo of Earth's Diplomatic Protection Service was particularly frustrating to deal with. His ships appeared wherever Council forces tried to pressure human settlements. Officially, the Diplomatic Protection Service was a small organization dedicated to ensuring the safety of human diplomats and researchers. Unofficially, Shinbo commanded a fleet that shouldn't exist, using technology that violated multiple treaties and somehow always arrived exactly where they were needed most. Captain Wu, Shinbo's voice came through the communication system. I understand you've been having some interesting conversations with Council enforcement. Han Wu smiled. Nothing we can't handle, Commander. They seem confused about our paperwork. Paperwork can be tricky, Shinbo agreed. By the way, my diplomatic escort ships will be conducting training exercises in this system for the next few weeks. Just routine defensive maneuvers. Han Wu looked at his scanner readings. Shinbo's escort ships were showing energy signatures that belonged on battleships, not diplomatic vessels. That's very thoughtful of you, Commander. The breakthrough came when Zethkul finally decided to confront Captain Han Wu directly. The Council enforcer's ship approached Seoul's Pride in what he hoped was an intimidating formation. Captain Wu. Zethkul's image appeared on Han Wu's screen. You are clearly violating the spirit of Emergency Decree 847. Your people are expanding throughout this sector while hiding behind technical loopholes. Han Wu looked genuinely puzzled. Commander, I'm not sure what you mean. We're conducting legitimate scientific research and diplomatic activities, all properly documented. You're establishing permanent colonies and calling them research stations. We're conducting long-term studies and calling them what they are. Han Wu replied calmly. If the Council has problems with legitimate scientific research, perhaps they should examine their own regulations more carefully. Zethkul's crystal structure began glowing with anger. You know exactly what you're doing. Yes, Han Wu said. We're exploring space, protecting human interests, and following all applicable regulations. Just like we've always done. This is not over, Zethkul warned. I didn't think it was, Han Wu replied. As Zethkul's ship moved away, Kim Sol's voice came over the intercom. Captain, his weapon systems just activated. He's targeting us, really? Han Wu asked. How unfortunate. I suppose our enhanced defensive systems might interpret that as a threat. They might, Kim Sol agreed. Our targeting computers seem to have automatically locked onto his ship. Purely defensive response, of course. On Zethkul's bridge, alarms began sounding. His weapons officer turned to him with wide eyes. "Commander, the human ship has us targeted with weapons that shouldn't exist on a civilian vessel. Their energy readings are insignificant." Sethkul stared at the readings in disbelief. Sol's pride was showing more firepower than his enforcement cruiser. "How is that possible?" "I don't know, sir. But I recommend we withdraw." Sethkul's ship retreated quickly, leaving Hanwoo and his crew to continue their research activities. As the Council vessel disappeared, Dr. Park began preparing her report for Earth Command. "What should I file this under?" she asked. "Successful diplomatic contact," Hanwoo replied. "We had a pleasant conversation with a Council representative and cleared up some confusion about our activities." The message was clear throughout human space. Humans didn't seek permission because they didn't need permission. The Council could make all the rules they wanted, but humans would continue doing what they had always done, exploring the universe and building better lives among the stars.